I can't tell you how many times people have asked me, how come my horse won't go forward? He just suddenly stalls out, whether it's leading him or maybe when I'm riding and it seemed like the ride was going fine, and then all of a sudden it seems like he just quits. And no matter what I do, I can't get him to go forward. And I really haven't wanted to use more things like spurs or a whip or anything like that, but it seems like nothing else is working. And, I don't know when it's coming on and I don't know why it's coming on. Or the other end of the spectrum is I can get my horse to go, but then it seems like it can never get him to stop. Like after we've moved at a higher rate of speed, he won't slow down, he won't listen to me, he's just worried about the other horses, he gets anxious. In both of these scenarios, they share the same foundational root issue that's missing in having a quality horsemanship foundation. And I think the biggest thing that people forget or are misled into believing is that we need to wait until the horse gets something physically wrong before we do anything about it. And then we try to usually contain or drive or direct the horse's movement in order to feel like we have a better sense of control. And a while back I did a video based on assumptions and how many people are starting off in a place of inaccurate assumptions and therefore not really staying present to what it is that their horse needs as far as human support and clear communication as foreign scenarios are being presented. And this is the same exact, I'm going to say, starting place of, we're going to say, misassumption. So a lot of times people are hopeful. A lot of times people go into passive behaviors in order to not feel like there's potential conflict with the horse. And a lot of times it just takes too much effort for humans to stay mentally present to what is actually happening in the moment. And so they tend to wait until it feels like the horse is suddenly not listening, or the horse is suddenly resistant, or the horse is suddenly out of control. And then they want to step in after the fact. And often the quick fix solutions, such as work the horse more on the ground beforehand, or use more pressure on the ground and driving that horse and making his feet move. And, all these sort of things I find come from a place of basically the human ego. It has nothing to do with considering what is contributing to that horse who is in his natural state fleeing if unconcerned, or moving at a high rate of speed when concerned about things, and asking why is he moving at a high rate of speed, or why is he completely shutting down and quitting. And this is one of those, what if we changed our assumption? What if instead of saying I'm going to focus on trying to control the horse's body and unwanted movement or potential resistance, and instead we started with the approach of, what if I was able to direct and influence and redirect my horse's thought? I want you to take a moment and I want you to think about how many behaviors in your life are based off your thoughts. I'll give you a clue: all of them. Same thing goes for horses. So this idea that we're just going to drive or move or correct the horse's feet, or we're going to try and contain his body from leaking and drifting, or we're going to try and drive him forward with increased energy and pressure continuously, or we're going to try and contain him with more severe devices on his head to get him to slow down, we're completely missing the foundational piece as far as saying, if the human doesn't have the ability to influence the horse's thought, he is only being hopeful in his ability to influence the horse's movement. Now, let me tell you, there's a lot of people who've made a lot of money off of selling the latest sales pitch as far as, this is how you prevent a horse from spooking or contain the spook, or this is how you make your horse go through water, or this is how you make your horse comply in his canter or lope transitions, or this is how, but it's all tactics that are really after the fact. Nobody's really saying what is contributing to the unwanted behavior, rather than waiting and seeing, being hopeful, being passive, and then trying to fix it later. So if you find yourself with a horse that's unwilling to go forward, or a horse that's continuously taking over and fleeing all the time, even if it's just at a walk, but it feels like he's in the driver's seat, you might step back and start to notice, how much do you actually consider where the horse's focus and thought is? Are you able to redirect his focus? Does he get fixated, and does it then feel like the entire session and interaction falls apart? What happens if you ask him to let go of his fixation and redirect his focus to something else? Does he completely emotionally and physically melt down and become unreasonable? If the answer is yes, which most people I meet with horse problems, the answer is yes to the previous questions I just presented, then you're missing some pretty big pieces in the foundation of how you're interacting with your horse, and you're going off of inaccurate assumptions that all is well until your horse does just this one unwanted behavior. Because as you start to delve in deeper and you start to get more honest with your assessment and refine and raise your standard of quality equine partnership, you're going to start to realize that just reacting to the horse's movement means you're always showing up too late.